Boom, 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 boom,
Half the battle is back. It's me, Daniel Levy, your host. We're going to be talking UFC Brasilia, Cyborg versus Lansberg, and joining me to break down UFC Brasilia is UFC bantamweight Albert Morales. Albert, welcome back to Half the Battle, man.
Hey, man, long time no see, right?
I know, right? How's it going, bro?
Doing great, man. Got to get my fight in. A little upset about the results, but it's all good, man. We're still, we got some hype building up behind us, and ready to talk these fights.
Absolutely, man. And before we talk the fights, let's just get into your UFC debut real quick, because it was last week. It was an unbelievable fight. I mean, you and Alejandro threw down. Now, me and all the fans thought that you won the fight, but this was the UFC's first time in Hidalgo. We know how it goes with those judges. So they scored it a draw, which was, kind of bullshit. But the bottom line is the fans were exposed to your very exciting fighting style, and we can't wait to see you back, bro.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I aim to do. I was a little disappointed with myself, but at the same time, Alejandro, I got to give credit where credit's due. He didn't fall into what we thought he was going to do. He actually did the complete opposite, which was kind of avoid the fight majority of the time. But, it is what it is. And that's it, man. You can't complain about the past. You just got to keep looking forward and ready for the next one.
Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you this, dude, because when you were walking out, you were super pumped. You were so amped. I was like, man, he might have an adrenaline dump. And then your cardio was fine all 3 rounds. So how do you balance that, man?
Oh, dude, I just as soon as I get into the cage, it just kind of just shuts down, and I just get zeroed in. Well, to me, like I figured that the crowd, I figured they'd be like kind of dead. It's like the first fight of the night. They're also there for him. So I figured I had to come out there and just turn up and get everybody a little excited for it. They get ready for the Warrior show. And plus, I was actually really pumped, man. I guess that's where my jitters came in. I just felt all this emotion, all this like just joy. So I just had to let it out. But it's like we're there to do, just go out there and just be like calculated and precise and win fights.
Dude, who are you more pissed at, the judges or Evan Dunham for stealing your fight of the night bonus?
Dude, I do. It's funny, man, because funny thing is, me and Rick actually got really cool with our teams got pretty cool because we both had to do some medical stuff when we got there, and we actually got really cool. So funny thing is, my dad calls me during that fight, and he's like, "Yo, man, so how you feeling?" I said, "I'm good, man. The only thing that I'm upset about is I'm watching my money disappear from me."
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
man.
Dude.
But the good news is, with a fighting style like yours and you're super young, I mean, the bonuses are going to come, dude. I got no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some of those knockout bonuses, though, more than these fight of the night.
Yeah, dude, and I'll tell you what, after the fight, I was like, I want to see Albert Morales versus Anthony Burchak, just because I know, that's a fight of the night, knockout of the night kind of fight. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And me and Anthony have crossed paths, like seeing each other in local scenes and stuff like that. Not during fights, but like watching fights. And he's a cool dude. He trains out of I think Tucson. I know he trains with my friend Casey. So it's like I'd be down to fight him. Like it would be a great show. I know he retweeted, I retweeted. So let's make that happen, Dana and fans. Let's just get it cracking.
Yeah, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, if you guys book that matchup, hit up your boy, because I got a lot more matchups in my mind. But, dude, Albert, we got to break down this UFC Brasilia card. And, man, Erick Silva is taking on Luan Chagas' first fight on FS1. And Luan is actually a -150 favorite. The comeback on Erick Silva is +140. Now, earlier in this week, Erick Silva actually opened as the favorite, but the lines have switched since a lot of money came in on Chagas. And honestly, dude, I don't blame the public for putting their money on Chagas. This is a guy who made his UFC debut against Sergio Moraes, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, and he took it on very short notice. He was 22 years old at the time, and I gotta say, man, the kid performed admirably. He dropped Serginho twice in the first round, and then when he got into those bad spots that we all thought, might be problematic, such as giving up your back against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, he handled himself quite well. He bucked him off, and then he got on top. So I'm very impressed with Luan Chagas, and the fact that, he is 22, 23, like I mentioned. He can only get better from here. But with Erick Silva, Erick Silva's the kind of guy that he's never won a decision in the UFC, and there's a reason for that, because all of his fights are super exciting. I mean, he's a finisher, man. It's either a first-round finish or bust, but man, I think he's kind of at the tail end, and it's not my place to say that about a fighter, but, he has been knocked out a couple times. And, a thing that I think will favor Chagas here is Chagas is more of a combination striker. He's a former Muay Thai world champion. With Erick, he does throw hard, but it's only one shot at a time. It's a body kick or it's a flying kick or, a big right hand, and he throws everything he has into it, but I don't think he sets it up that well, and I think Chagas can capitalize on it, man.
Definitely, and also, man, his ground game is actually really well. I'm talking about Chagas. His ground game is actually really underrated. I looked at a couple of highlight films, and the guy, he's actually a pretty good ground guy, man. So I wasn't really surprised on his performance his last UFC fight. So, I see that. I see Erick Silva overcommitting, and then him taking advantage of that, maybe taking a shot, or actually, Erick actually sometimes overcommits so hard that he actually falls down. And because he swings and doesn't have the proper footwork to keep himself balanced. So I'm actually going against Erick Silva for the first time. I just and like you said, he's been knocked out a lot lately, and I think those hits are taking its toll. I think this is his third camp that he switched up. I think last time he was with the Kings, and I guess that didn't work out. So he switched up again, I think, right? I'm not really sure.
You're 100% correct, man. Not only has he switched camps, but he's doing the whole home gym thing where, he started the gym and, he's the main guy there. And usually when guys do that towards the tail end, it's a sign of maybe they don't have the same motivation that they used to at one point. Because when you go to a gym like King's, you're going to be pushed every single day.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Who knows if what happened there. But, you see how Felder does with people. He works miracles. So who knows, man? That whatever his choice was to leave, that's his choice. But I'm definitely I feel bad, but I gotta go. I'm going with the underdog this time.
Yeah, and you mentioned how, this is one of the first times you've picked against Erick Silva. I'm on the same boat as you, man, but, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, this time, I'm going to switch it up, man. I'm going to go with Chagas. Earlier in the week when he was plus 130, I took that shot. Now he's minus 150. The line is flipped. I'm not as comfortable laying that favorite money, but, if it does hit that minus 135 range, I wouldn't fault anyone for betting that. And for everyone taking the shot on Erick Silva, saying, oh, he looked ripped at the weigh-ins. Well, man, he looked ripped at the weigh-ins last time too, and we saw what happened.
Yeah.
So, there's more than just being ripped on the scale,
Yeah, definitely. And no, man, he's a big dude too, and that's why he looks so ripped. It's because he's getting dehydrated, man. That's all that is. So I don't know. Yeah, he's dope, man. But I just feel like he's a one-trick pony, and if that trick doesn't work, it kind of And he's very sloppy with his hands too. He keeps his hands real low, and Luan, he actually keeps his hands pretty high. He is a Muay Thai world champion, and he's dope. The only thing that I saw is I kind of question his power at that weight, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Luan or Erick?
Luan.
The reason that I don't have too much of a question is because he did drop Serginho twice, but at the same time, to your point, he did drop him twice and didn't finish him.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is just going off of I looked back at his highlight tape and I did a little bit more research on him because I just wanted to, because I know I saw his last fight, but other than that I don't know too much about him, and so I kind of, like, that's what I said, I kind of questioned power. I saw him a lot on the ground, and he looked like a beast on the ground. So and you telling me he's a Muay Thai guy, that's crazy. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I think we got a new beast at welterweight.
One thing we can agree on is this fight is most likely not going the distance.
Definitely not. Whether it be submission or knockout.
Yeah, for sure. So next up, man, in the flyweight division, we got Jussier Formiga. He's minus 190. The comeback on Dustin Ortiz is plus 165. This is a very good fight, man. I remember back before there was a flyweight division in the UFC, and Formiga was considered the number one flyweight on the planet. And he didn't go by the name Formiga. He was actually a Jussier da Silva. Everyone would talk about this da Silva guy. I was like, who's he? And then he comes to the UFC, and man, he's a beast. And I don't want to call him a one-trick pony because he's not. out. You know, his striking is decent, but what he's known for is his ability to take your back is just world class. However, he's not known for finishing guys when he takes their backs. But if you can't escape that back mount, you're going to lose the round. With Dustin Ortiz, great wrestler. He's been in there with some top guys in the division. And, you know, I don't fault anyone for taking the shot on Ortiz. It's just for me, I have to pass because, you know, if Formiga takes his back, you know, for all 15 minutes, it's, you know, it's going to be a shitty way to lose a bet, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, how else do you see Dustin winning a fight, you know, other than getting maybe a really good punch or you know, taking him to the ground? So he kind of plays into Formiga's strong points, definitely.
Yeah, and we mentioned earlier how, you know, Erick Silva was doing the whole home gym thing. Well, Dustin Ortiz is doing the home gym thing too. You know, he left Rufus Sport after his last fight. He's been gone for about a year, and he's been in Nashville doing, you know, the little home gym thing. So I want to see how he looks, man. You know, if they get into scrambles, it could get interesting. But once Formiga takes his back, you're not getting out of that position.
Yeah, and he's coming off a tough loss against Wilson Hayes, so that I don't know, that could be some motivation. Coming off a loss always motivates me, so let's see how it goes. But at the same time, switching camps after and doing all that could all affect you. And I don't know, it's gonna be a good one, but I'm going with the favorite for sure.
Yeah, I am as well, but I'm definitely staying away from a bet because I could see, you know, with certain scrambles, you know, maybe Ortiz, you know, finishes the last minute of the round on top. The judges give him the decision. So it's one of those things where I would just recommend sitting back and enjoying it as a fan, you know?
Definitely.
So, dude, next up in your division, we got Yahya. He's minus 120. The comeback on Michinori Tanaka is plus 110. Dude, I love this fight. You know, with Tanaka, he's a beast, man. He's an absolute monster. You know, he can out-grapple dudes. He can out-strike them. The biggest issue with him is his gas tank. You know, he is prone to gassing in that third round hard. In that fight with Joe Soto, I bet on Tanaka there. First 2 rounds, we look amazing. Third round, you know, we're huffing and puffing. We're high-fiving and hugging. That's the kind of shit I don't like to see when I'm betting on a guy.
Exactly.
And with Yahya, unbelievable jiu-jitsu. He's a veteran of the game. He's been in there with everyone, and he's really putting it together, you know, towards the latter part of his career. So what I'm wondering here is, you know, can Yahya last long enough to where Michinori Tanaka is gassing out, and then Hani can take his back and choke him out, or is Michinori Tanaka going to manhandle him? Because I do believe in the early going, Tanaka can put it on Yahya for sure.
Yeah, he's got a power. I'm trying to remember. He's Orthodox, right?
Which one? Yeah, I think they're both Orthodox, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good right. He's really strong. I remember that fight with Joe Soto. Joe Soto had him in, like, I thought a really deep go plata, but man, he knew exactly. He stayed calm and got out of that situation. Yeah, you're right. He did get tired towards the third round, but the thing is with that guy, he could finish it any round. You know, he could finish it right off the bat. And I did see a lot of like Yahya is pretty tough, but against Matt was actually kind of bringing it to him, and I thought Matt was a little sloppy that fight. So I don't know. I'd rather not go for any of them because they're both in my division, and I want to fight them both anyways.
Who do you think presents a bigger challenge to you?
None of them, but I'll go with Tanaka a little bit, just because he's got that. He's pretty strong and he's a little bit more well-rounded, I think. I think Yahya is getting better in his stand-up, but I don't know. It's not good enough. And on top of that, he's a midget. So yeah, they're both midgets. So I'll fight them both. I'll give it to Tanaka.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. As long as he doesn't gas hard in that third round, I think he's got this. And, you know, you mentioned Matthew Lopez and something he's got in common with you. And I didn't even know that you were on Looking for a Fight when I interviewed you last time. My buddies told me, oh, Morales was on Looking for a Fight. I was like, damn, all I knew was I watched all your regional scene fights, and I was very impressed. But then when I saw that video of Dana White telling you that you got the contract, I mean, that was unbelievable. Tell me what that moment was like, man.
Oh, man, it was just like it's just amazing to notice or to realize that, you know, dreams do come true, and that cliche that says if you want something bad enough and work hard for it, you can get it. You know, growing up, you hear people saying that to you all the time. You can be anything you want to be. You just got to put your mind to it. It sounds so corny and cliche, but it's the truth, man. And to see that and to feel that happen at that moment was just amazing. And so the only thing that could pop into my head is just give Dana a big old hug.
Yeah, dude, that was an unbelievable moment, and, you know, I hope no one deletes that video because, you know, it's one of those that you're going to show. I mean, I don't know if you already have, but it's the kind of video you show your kids, you know?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I kind of, like, go back and watch it, you know, when I'm feeling kind of sad or something, like not sad, but having a rough day, you know, I go back and be like, man, you made it. Dude, you made your dreams come true. You know, go out there and keep working, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I mean, focus, dedication, hard work, persistence, that's what it's all about in any area of life.
Yep, yes, sir.
So, dude, in the lightweight division, we got Brazilian versus Brazilian. We got Gilbert Durinho Burns. He's minus 225, and the comeback on Michel Prazeres is plus 205. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that Michel Prazeres actually missed weight by 2 pounds earlier today on the scales. Not that that has any effect on the fight, but, you know, just saying he didn't make the weight, and oftentimes when guys miss weight, they sometimes lose the fight. Unless it's back before the pre-weigh-ins when, you know, John Lineker missed weight by like 3 pounds, and then he decided not to go back and cut the extra weight. You know, he was just like, fuck it, man, I'm gonna come in and fight, and then he knocks dudes out the very next day. I don't think I don't think this is one of those situations, man, with Gilbert Durinho Burns. You know what I'm really impressed with by him? It's not his world-class jiu-jitsu, it's his toughness, man. I mean, you can just hit this guy with everything, and you can land flush, you can drop him, and he's still going to try to beat you. I respect that quality a lot in a fighter. Now, with Michel Prazeres, he's very tough too, but, you know, he noticeably gasses in the later rounds of his fights. Now, they're both jiu-jitsu black belts. I would say Burns is on a higher level with his black belt. And, you know, they're going to throw bombs for the first 2 rounds, but I honestly believe, you know, even though it's black belt versus black belt, I think Burns can tap him out in that 3rd round, man. And I'm going with Gilbert Durinho.
Same here. Gilbert's just, his jiu-jitsu is just on another level, man. I'm a big jiu-jitsu guy. You know, competition jiu-jitsu. That's jiu-jitsu is my life, man. I love competing jiu-jitsu. I love sport jiu-jitsu, lapel guard, all that weird funky stuff. That's what I love doing. And Gilbert is, you know, Abu Dhabi world champion. This guy's won everything you can think of in jiu-jitsu. The guy's a beast. And like you said, he's tough. His striking's not as good as, you know, as we want it to be, but he's definitely a beast. That toughness I saw when he fought my boy Christos Giagos, and Christos, I think it was his 1st or 2nd fight in the UFC. He fought him in Brazil, and Christos hit him with everything but the kitchen sink, and Gilbert still came back and managed to armbar him in the last seconds of the first round with a beautiful armbar. And Christos is no slouch on the ground either, man. So Gilbert's just no joke, dude. He's nothing to play with, and I go with Gilbert too. And I think he submits him probably, or maybe controls him to a decision. But I think Gilbert's a better fighter.
Definitely, man. Now, this one, you know, for me is actually kind of tough to call. A featherweight bout between Pepey, Godofredo Pepey, he's minus 130. The comeback on Mike De La Torre is plus 120. Now, I understand a lot of people are very confident in Pepey going into this fight. But for me, the reason it's tough to call is because just like Erick Silva, Pepey is a 1-round fighter. You know, in that first round, you better fucking watch out, man, because he's throwing flying knees, flying triangles. He's big overhand rights. You know, he's trying to take your head off. But if you can get past that first round, he becomes a different guy. And De La Torre, you know, he does train at the lab. You know, maybe he doesn't have, you know, maybe he's not a Brian Barberena per se, but I mean, he has played spoiler more than once. You know, he beat Thiago Trator in Brazil. He beat Yeochul Nam in South Korea. So he knows what it's like to go to someone's hometown and home country and beat them. He's played spoiler before. So it's about, is Pepey going to finish him in that first round, or is Mike De La Torre going to win the next 2 rounds?
See, normally I would go definitely for De La Torre because, yeah, you're right, he is the home killer. But, dude, Pepey in Brazil is a monster, dude. I don't think that guy loses in Brazil. So, I guess I got to go with Pepey, man. I love him in Brazil. He comes out flying. And you know what? Even though he gets tired, he still keeps swinging. So I got to go with him, man, especially in Brazil. Outside of Brazil, I wouldn't go for him for anything. But he's in Brazil. He's going to go represent for his country. He's going to go out there and fly.
You think it's going to be a first-round finish?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. But I don't think, you know, Mike Del Torre is not a dummy either. He's gonna be a little bit smart and kind of avoid things and let Pepey gas out. But I just think Pepey in Brazil, man, dude. I don't know. I fought in my home crowd one time, and I know how much of a boost that'll give you. So, and that guy he becomes Super Saiyan when he's in Brazil. So that's why I go for him.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You know, De La Torre told me that he's going to wait for Pepey to burn himself out, and then he's going to take over. Yeah. But, I mean, talk is cheap. It's easier said than done.
Well, definitely. But he, you know, Del Torre is actually a really smart fighter, man. And I could see him doing that, but I don't know, man. Let's see. Hopefully, and what if Pepey knows that he's going to do that and kind of chills out. So we'll see how it goes, man. And plus, I think he's been in the UFC a little bit longer, so I'm pretty sure he he's getting smarter as a fighter, hopefully, and like I said, he's in Brazil, man. That's definitely an X factor for that guy.
Absolutely. That's a big factor in many ways, if you know what I mean. Now, next up, dude, we got Thiago Santos. He's minus 605, and the comeback on Erick Spicely is plus 505. Now, when you see a minus 605 line, you think, damn, that's really high. Let's look at the dog. But you know what? In this fight, I think it should be minus 800, man. I know Thiago Santos is coming off that loss to Gegard Mousasi, but the fact that he got to a fight with Mousasi, that's a big deal. That's a completely different level than where Spicely is. Now, Spicely, he's actually a pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He beat my boy Tex Johnson and dominated him with the grappling, but I mean, that's a regional scene fight, you know what I mean? At the UFC level, Thiago Santos, he's been performing at a much higher level, and he's been beating some good dudes. He beat Elias Theodoro. Who was the guy he beat right after that? I can't even remember, but he had a really good fight right after that. I'm actually look it up right now.
You're talking about Thiago?
Yeah, Thiago Santos. Let's see. So he beat Elias Theodoro. Oh yeah, and then he knocked out Nate Marquardt. That was a good one for him too. And his dude, that was ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I remember that. It's definitely, if Thiago loses, everything's his fault. I don't see that happening at all. And like you said, against Gegard Mousasi, man, that's top of the line quality. That's like the best opponent you can probably you can get at that weight. One of the top guys, man. He's so creative and he's so well rounded. So that's not. I guess it's a loss because we're fighters, but man, that's not really a loss. That's the fight that you can lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, those body kicks from Thiago Santos, I mean, you cringe when you see those body kicks, man. I mean, you hear the crack. It's like a baseball bat, man.
He's so powerful. And yeah, like you said, he beat Nate Marquardt. He's a vet, man. It's definitely. I don't see him losing at all.
Dude, did you see that head kick knockout he had of Steve Bossy? It was like in 30 seconds. So the fight starts, he throws a big leg kick, then he throws a big body kick, and then he finishes it off with the head kick. And it was like a baseball bat hitting a fucking grand slam, dude. It was something I'd never forget.
I'm going to look it up as soon as I'm done. I do see it was 30 seconds into the first round. That's crazy.
It was vicious.
So hard.
Hey, brother, you still there?
I think I'd rather take the head kick so I don't feel the body.
Yeah, exactly, man. And, it's funny because after that fight, I was like, yeah, Steve Bossy is never going to come back the same because that was a life-changing KO. And then he actually went on to win his next two fights, so props to Steve Bossy. But back to this fight, man, I think Thiago Santos is going to finish him in the first round.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely his fight to lose.
So this is the moment you and I have been waiting for. We got Francisco Masuranduba Trinaldo. He's minus 115, and the comeback on Paul, the Irish Dragon Felder, is plus 105. Man, in my opinion, this could be the main event because this is like the only fight that has the potential to go 5 rounds. You know what I mean? And dude, Francisco Trinaldo's been looking better than ever. He's an unbelievable southpaw. He's on a 6-fight win streak. And, I mean, he stalks dudes, throws that big overhand left. If he wants to grind, he can grind. Biggest issue with Francisco, I wouldn't call the fact that he's 38 an issue, but what I would say is that, one common theme that we've been saying on this card is some of these dudes have limited gas tanks. I think Trinaldo is one of those guys, man, and it might be due to the fact that he just comes out hard, and if he doesn't put you away, that's when he starts to gas out. That fight with Yancy Medeiros, First round, I mean, he sets a significant strike record on his face. Second round, Trinaldo gets dropped, and the only reason that Medeiros wasn't able to finish him was because Medeiros was so rocked and gassed out that he couldn't capitalize. But I'll tell you what, Paul Felder is a durable guy that can go all 3 rounds hard. He's training with Mark Henry, who's an absolute magician of a coach. He's responsible for Frankie Edgar and Edson Barbosa's recent success. I mean, Mark Henry, that's the kind of guy you want in your corner. So with Paul Felder, I know a lot of people criticize him because of that Ross Pearson fight, but you know what, man? The backstory to that fight is, so, he fought Edson Barbosa in his 3rd ever UFC fight.
Yeah.
And then right after that fight, he goes up to Joe Silva. He's like, dude, I want to fight again ASAP. And Joe Silva's like, dude, you just had a 3-round war tonight. Like, why don't you chill? Why don't you rest up, wait till you're 100%, and then call me, because we want to see the best Irish Dragon. So then 3 days later, Joe Silva calls him, and Paul Felder's icing his shins. He's drinking a beer in the bathtub, and Joe's like, hey man, you want to fight Ross Pearson? Of course Felder took the fight. He's a fighter.
Right?
That's what fighters do. Fighters fight. But he wasn't 100% going into that fight, and you could tell. And you could still make the argument that he won that fight, but regardless, man, every fighter has to take, an L to a lesser fighter from time to time. I mean, even Trinaldo lost to guys like Piotr Hallman along the way. But it's about taking those experiences, learning, and becoming better. And I think Felder is the more technical striker. I think he's got better cardio. He's more durable. And he's got the style to beat Trinaldo. Obviously it's in Brazil, so that's in Trinaldo's favor. But man, I just think that it's going to be a striking match. And Felder's not the kind of guy you want to get into a striking match with unless you're Edson Barboza.
Exactly, dude, and that's Edson Barboza on his tear right now. That's not like Edson Barboza a couple of years ago when he had a little slip. Like Edson Barboza right now is a monster, dude. Dude, that Ross Pearson fight broke my heart because those are two of my favorite lightweights in the game. Dude, I love Paul. He's the Irish Dragon is probably one of my favorite fighters in the roster right now. I always tune in to see that guy. It's funny because, I forgot let me see, what was the first fight I watched him fight? It might have been in that Canada fight, right? And then after that, I saw him knock out Danny Castillo, and then right after, dude, he got fights lined up right back to right. And then it's funny because I found out that he actually trained with Cowboy for a little bit, or they're actually really good friends. No wonder, man. They just take fights like nothing, man. Those guys are real fighters. I just love watching him fight. And I'll never go against him. He could fight anybody, and I'm going with Paul all day because he brings it, man. He's a creative striker. He's so strong. He's so durable, like you said, and he doesn't stop coming forward. I love him. Technically, he's got cool spinning stuff. He's got cool spinning back fists. He's got cool spinning elbows, and he knows when to throw them. So I got him all day, man. And I don't see this fight. This fight can't suck. That's the reason why this should be the main event for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing about that Barboza fight, man, is that Barboza, he's a 12 to 15 fight UFC veteran, and Felder fought him on his third ever UFC fight, and he performed admirably, man. I mean, that's a big step up in competition. I feel like people don't really understand that, and then they criticize him because he went to a decision with Josh Berkman. But here's the thing, man: no one finishes Josh Berkman in that first round. I don't care if Berkman loses a lot of fights. It's still a tough fight every single time you go up against Berkman. You watch any of his UFC fights, and I mean, it's always competitive with him. So I wasn't surprised that Felder had a competitive fight with him either, but he still won, and now he's getting that experience under his belt, and this could be the best performance we've ever seen from him, dude.
Oh yeah, no, he's an animal, man. He keeps coming, and like I said, he's one of my favorites. He's got to be a fan favorite now, man. That guy's ridiculous. He always comes to the fight. He's I don't know how many fights has he had since let me look this.
He's 4-2 in the UFC.
4-2, and he started in 2014, man. That's 2 years, and he's got 6 fights already. He's just on it, man, and I love him. He's definitely one of my favorites. I thought he was training at Jackson.
Yeah, he was for a while, but he left. He's training with Mark Henry, and it's funny. Mark Henry's like, dude, you're a Philly guy. Why don't you stay in the East Coast? Stop traveling to Albuquerque, New Mexico for all your camps, But hey, ever since he made that switch, he's on a 2-fight streak, and I think that with that momentum, we can see a good performance here against Trinaldo. Even though the odds are against him, it's in Brazil. Trinaldo's on a 6-fight win streak. I do feel like that. Once again, it's not my place to say the end is near for a fighter because that's disrespectful. But Trinaldo is 38 years of age, and it's coming soon, man. You know what I'm saying? I think Felder could be the guy to stop him.
But he's not going to go down without a fight either. So it's going to be this fight of the night for sure. I'll put my money on that right now.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I took a shot on Felder at plus 120 earlier in the week. Now it's plus 105, which, it's still playable, that plus money. So I'd take that shot. I don't blame people for betting Trinaldo either because, he is on that 6-fight streak. He is in Brazil. He is a motherfucker. He's a great fighter too. But the way the styles match up, man, I'm leaning Felder here, dude.
Yeah, but it's still going to be an exciting fight. But yeah, I got to go Felder all day. I can never go against Felder.
Yeah, I feel that, man. Now, next up, dude. Oh, man. This one has the potential to get ugly. We got Roy Nelson. He's minus 440. And the comeback on Bigfoot is plus 390. Now, I got a lot of respect for Bigfoot.
Really?
I mean, back in his day, he beat Fedor. He beat Overeem. He's got some good. He beat Travis Brown. He's got some good wins under his resume. But, he needs to take that testosterone because he's got this thing called gigantism, which he needs that testosterone, and he can't take it because of the regulations. And dude, you saw that fight with Mark Hunt, the first one where Bigfoot got dropped and he got back up and shit and went all 5 rounds. That shit's not gonna happen ever again, dude. You know what I mean? Because his last few fights, it was like, he'd get knocked out within 2 minutes, but now it's like he's getting knocked out on the first punch anyone lands. And I know Roy's an aging competitor, and he was swinging and missing against Derek Lewis, but Derek Lewis is a heavyweight in his prime.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
The Black Beast says it all, bro. He really is.
Exactly. I just think that Roy Nelson can swing the overhand right and put him down straight up.
All day, man. Roy Nelson is one of the greats, dude. Not only can he knock you out, not only does he only want to knock you out, but he's also a really good black belt on the ground too. So, and I respect any fat boy that does jiu-jitsu. He's a beast, dude. I see him knocking Bigfoot out in the first, and then rubbing his belly. Roy Nelson's just on another level, dude. I love him. I always root for him, unless except for the time against Mark Hunt or anything like that. But it's funny, dude. I always root for our fat heavyweights like Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson, DC. When he was a heavyweight, because they're chubby, man. I respect it, man. I like the real heavyweight, dude. And on top of that, they come to bang. They're coming for knockouts because and I love it. I love the fact that they actually do knock people out in the first, because I'm not trying to watch a 3-round heavyweight fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, and what's funny? I'm glad you brought up his black belt because, look, let's say by some stretch of the imagination, Roy Nelson can't land the big right, which I don't think is going to happen. I think he's going to knock out Bigfoot. But let's say somehow Bigfoot can avoid that. I think Roy Nelson can out-grapple him too. I mean, he took down Josh Barnett 3 times. He took down Derek Lewis a bunch of times. So if the striking ain't working out, which, I don't foresee that happening, but if it doesn't work out, he can take him down too. But I'm going with that first-round KO, man.
Definitely, and I would love to see Roy on the ground because Roy is a legit black belt. People just don't see it because he's just trying to knock people's heads out. But like you said, he took down Josh Barnett, and he took down the Black Beast. So I don't know, he's a beast, man. I love him.
Definitely. Now, next up, the co-main event of the evening, we got the former bantamweight champion, Renan Barao. He's minus 450. The comeback on Philipe Nover is plus 400. Now, man, I'm a big fan of Barao. Back in his prime, he was one of the most exciting bantamweights to watch, and just his fluidity on the feet, his black belt, the way he takes your back. He's a motherfucker to deal with, and I think that a lot of people are acting like, he's on his way out. But if you look at it, he's really only lost to 2 people, TJ Dillashaw and Jeremy Stephens, who are both complete studs. But, I understand that after that beating, the 2 beatings against TJ Dillashaw, maybe your confidence isn't where it should be, but he came back against Jeremy Stephens, man. And even in that loss, I thought he performed better than he did in his win against Mitch Gagnon. And I think he's picking his confidence back up. And here against Philipe Nover, this could be the time where he gets back on track, man. Now with Nover, the thing that he's got going for him, man, is he kicks fucking hard, dude. Like that fight with Tukhugov, I bet on Tukhugov there. And Nover made me sweat that shit, man, because, it went to a split decision, which was interesting because I thought Tukhugov clearly won the fight. But I got to say, Nover's kicks, his body kicks in particular, are damn hard. So, Barao's got to be aware of that. But I think Barao's better than him everywhere, man.
Same here. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not being super competitive with you, but yeah, it's the truth, man. Renan Barao. I saw that fight with Philipe. He's good, man. From what I understand, he's got really good wrestling too, right? Like that's kind of his strong point, right?
Yeah, and he trains with Mark Henry as well, so that's a good camp.
Yeah, so I don't know. Renan Barao during his time, man, was just unstoppable. The way I saw Renan Barao back in those days, like he's like, you ever seen that movie 300, the first one where they had that beast chained up and everybody was just holding him back, and as soon as it was time, they let him go, and he was just killed everything.
Yeah.
That's how Renan Barao was, when he got the belt, and he was just killing everybody and everything. And I wish he would go back to that, man, because when he was during that time, man, he was definitely one of my favorites, and he still is. But I feel like his confidence is kind of messed up. I'm from the Carlson Gracie team. We got guys that train with him out there in Nover and Yao, and they kind of they kind of hint to the fact that it's not. I don't think it's in him as much anymore. Honestly, I don't think he wants to be the champion anymore. I think he just fights because it's just who he is. But I don't see the hunger in him. I'm rooting for him, and I think he's better all around. And I think he wants to win, and especially in Brazil, I'm rooting for him. I think he's definitely well rounded. He's better than him all the way around. The hunger's still not there, but I think he still got enough to beat Philipe.
Now, Philipe is a lot bigger than him. Not that the bigger guy always wins, but do you think the size difference could be a factor here, or do you think the fact that Barao's so much better skill wise, that's what's going to be the difference?
That's a good point, yeah, because Philipe is a stud, man. That guy's like chiseled. I don't think so, man. I really don't. But actually, Philipe is actually a pretty smart fighter based off that fight with what's his name, Turvalov. I don't know his name.
Tuhugov.
Yeah. So he fought that pretty smart. He didn't rush in there and get cracked by him. So we'll see, man. It might, the size definitely doesn't matter. I don't think. He does kick hard. I remember all those kicks he threw. I don't know. I don't think so. I think Renan Barao has way more tricks up his sleeve, and I don't think Philipe has faced anybody. Well, he hasn't faced anybody on the level of Renan Barao, whether Renan being a little bit small.
Yeah. I have to agree with you there, man. Now, next up, the main event of the evening, we got Cyborg, who's minus 1050, and the comeback on Lina Lansberg is plus 850. So, according to the odds makers, this is a mismatch, and, it might be. The thing with Lansberg is she's actually a good striker, but, man, she's so much smaller than Cyborg, and I'm not talking about Barao versus Nover smaller. I'm talking about she's seriously smaller, where the size could be a big difference. Now, I know in Cyborg's kickboxing match with Jarina Bars, she got her ass whooped, but, Jarina Bars is 41-0, one of the best female Muay Thai fighters of all time, and, she was like 37-0 at the time, and Cyborg was making her kickboxing debut, so there's no shame in losing to Jarina Bars, and I know Lansberg has some kickboxing experience, but it's nowhere near Jarina's level. And, man, the path to victory for Lina would be to somehow get past that first round and hope that Cyborg starts to gas out. But if Cyborg goes out there and bullies her around, which she is known for, she's probably going to get that first round finish. So for Lansberg to win this fight, she has to weather the storm, which not many people can weather.
No, I don't think most guys can weather Cyborg's storm. I'm also from the Shootbox Academy too, of USA, and she's shootboxing, and from the stories I hear, man, she's you don't spar her like you would spar a girl, like you say. Of course, you don't. Okay, yeah, your sparring partners, the girls are your sparring partners. You don't go easy on them, but you don't go too hard over them because they're still women,
Yeah.
But Cyborg, you go at her like you're gonna go fight. You know what I mean? That's from what I hear. Cyborg's no joke. Justine, she's ridiculous, man. Her striking is so fast and powerful, and by the time you throw one, she's already hit you with three hard ones, man. And the way she moves her head and puts everything together, dude, she's scary for anybody, man. Anybody around that weight class, women or male, So I don't see it. I think it definitely is a mismatch, in power, size. Yeah, like you said, she has kickboxing experience, but I looked up some of her MMA fights, and it's nothing like Cyborg's striking, especially MMA striking, and I don't know, it's a complete. Hey, dude, props to her though for taking this fight, because I know a lot of women won't, and I know a lot of guys wouldn't take that fight. Man, that's a scary fight for anybody. I think she's going to be too much for. I think Cyborg's going to hit her once, and then she's going to realize what kind of fight this is, and, they're just going to let Cyborg off the leash.
Dude, making your UFC debut in Brazil against Cyborg, I mean, geez, right?
That's balls. Much respect to her. Yeah, she's fighting like the most dominant female in MMA. You know, like it's ridiculous. Cyborg has like one loss way back in the day, and I think it was a DQ or something like that, or something happened where I forgot what it was. My coach was telling me about this. She has one loss, and it wasn't even like it was a loss or something. There was something crazy about her loss, but no, man, she's like I said, her strikes are so powerful, so strong, so snappy. She's a monster, and you know, for the whole game, I'm just glad that she's in the UFC. I'm glad that, you know, she gets her respect, and you know, that weight cut looked brutal, but I don't think it's really going to affect her because that's the same thing every time, and it doesn't affect her. So go Cyborg.
Yeah, so dude, real quick before we get out of here, let's talk about these 3 Fight Pass prelims briefly. Just let's go over it. So first up, starting off the entire card, we got Glaico Franca. He's minus 170, and the comeback on Gregor Gillespie is plus 160. Now, Gregor Gillespie is a 4-time All-American, Division I champ. I mean, he's got all the wrestling accolades, and Glaico Franca, he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. You know, his last fight, he went the distance with my boy James Vick, and dude, I thought Vick was going to go out there and finish him in the first round, and Glaico took him all 3, so I was impressed with that. Now, with Gregor, yeah, he does have the wrestling credentials, like I mentioned, 4-time All-American. You know, that's serious wrestling credentials. But you know what, man? This isn't on the fucking NCAA mats, man.
Exactly.
This is in the octagon.
This isn't wrestling.
Exactly. You can't choke someone out in wrestling. You can't punch someone in the face in wrestling. And I've watched Gillespie's fights, and dude, if he wants to take you down, he's gonna take you down. I'm sure he's gonna get some takedowns here, but it's what happened in between those takedowns that really counts in my book. And I think his striking kind of sucks. I think his jiu-jitsu is non-existent. And I think, you know, the first round, he's probably going to take Franca down a couple times. But as he starts to, you know, get more tired, this is in Brazil, which is, you know, Franca's country, and Gillespie is making the trip for the first time. Plus, it's his UFC debut. I think eventually he's going to start shooting for sloppy takedowns, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got Bravo choked, man.
I think that's exactly what I'm thinking is going to happen. He's going to get dark. He's going to get guillotined. He's fighting a guy who's actually seasoned in the UFC in his hometown, and took a tough dude all the way to decision, like you said, in James Vick. He's acting, I don't know. I don't see. I don't know. Wrestling can only take you so far, and I think, like you said, eventually, like, yeah, sure, he'll take him down, but eventually, he'll get tired as Glaico's, like, you know, just continues to work, and just, you know, I don't even think that guy does he have any jiu-jitsu or anything like that on top, or does he just kind of just wrestle and stay on top of you? Nah, I didn't really look into him too much.
Nah, he doesn't really have much jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's a lay and pray guy, and I mean, you know, his last fight. So he's finished all his fights until his last one, which was against a 500 fighter. It went to a split decision, and I mean, you know, he'd get the takedowns at first, and then he got fucking back mounted by this 500 fighter. You know, obviously he worked his way out of it, but I'll tell you what, if you get back mounted here by Glaico Franca, I think Franca's going to finish the fight. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's. I can't stand that style of fighting. You know, but we'll see, man. I'm not going for a wrestler. Nah, I'm not going for you, buddy. But,
yeah, I would need dog money on Glaico Franca to play this fight, but since he's minus 170, I'm going to stay away and enjoy it. But yeah, my pick is Franca here. Now, next up, man, we got Vicente Luque. He's minus 460. The comeback on Hector Urbina is plus 410. Now, Urbina's a really cool dude. But man, you know, the one thing he has going for him is that he's tough. And that's about the extent of it. You know, he's not athletic. He's not technical. He's just tough. But Vicente Luque, I got to give this guy a lot of credit. He's only 24, 25 years old. And, you know, back in the day, he finished Thiago Santos. He's got a lot of experience under his belt. If you looked at his record, it doesn't really tell the whole story because he's one of those guys that, like when he was 18, 19, he was taking any fight he could get. So he took a couple hard losses. But now that he's older, he's managed by the right people. Now he's taking the right fights. So he's very experienced. But, man, I just think he's going to, you know, unless he fucks around or something, I think he's got this all day, and maybe a Darce choke, maybe a decision, but I got the minus 460 favorite, Vicente Luque.
Definitely. He's no joke on the ground, man. He's a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner. I see him winning by the submission. And like you said, Hector's tough, but man, that can only take you so far. Eventually, tough either gets knocked out or tough gets tired. You can keep swinging, but I think someone, you know, as skilled as Vicente, can catch him sleeping, catch him in a submission, maybe catch him he tries to overcommit on a sloppy punch and gets taken down, and then that's Vicente's world.
Absolutely. Now, last fight we got to break down. The featured Fight Pass prelim. We got Stevie Ray, Scotland's own. He's minus 160. The comeback on Alan Patrick is plus 150. Now, Patrick is a very athletic guy. I believe he's got a capoeira background. And, I mentioned he's athletic. Let me emphasize that. I mean, this is the kind of dude that shows up to the weigh-in scale. He does a backflip. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just he's a unique kind of guy. But, man, he relies on that athleticism too much. I don't think he's anywhere near the technical level of Stevie Ray. I think Stevie Ray is better on the feet, on the ground, everywhere. He's more experienced. And on the feet, man, I love how Stevie Ray, he works behind his jab, and he can knock dudes out, but he can also outpoint you for 3. He's a very mature fighter. On the regional scene in Cage Warriors, he went all 5 rounds more than once. That's some invaluable experience, in my opinion, and I think he's going to punish Alan Patrick here, man, straight up.
He's definitely the smarter fighter, the definitely more experienced fighter. Technically, like he's smart. He'll know when to engage, when not to engage. He's very skilled, man. Plus, he's from Scotland. People from Scotland are badass.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Will Martin from Scotland. I know he's listening to this, so shout out.
Shout out, man. And honestly, like that athleticism, doing all those crazy spinning kicks and all that stuff might get you caught up. And Stevie Ray will look for opportunities to capitalize on that. So I'm definitely going for Stevie Ray, but yeah, there's no way. I don't know. This card's, the odds makers got it pretty right. I would feel so.
They've been on point lately, but they're gonna slip up soon because they're gonna get overconfident. That's where we're gonna be able to capitalize on some big underdogs. But lately, they've been on point, man. And dude, I just feel like with Alan Patrick, there's only so much flash that you can bring into the octagon against an experienced guy like Stevie Ray. Like, you have to be technical to beat a guy like Stevie Ray. I mean, you can catch him, but Alan Patrick's not really known for catching dudes. He's more known for using that athleticism to win decisions. But I don't think Stevie Ray is the guy that you can do that against.
Yeah. Alan would have to hope for an opportunity to maybe clip him and then create a scramble, but Stevie's just way too fundamentally sound to get caught up in any of that craziness. So I think he'll have his hands up, ready to strike after Alan throws something crazy. And the only thing going for Alan is if he gets into a scramble in the first round and can actually use his athleticism and cardio, a little bit of cardio to catch Stevie in something. But I don't see it happening.
So, dude, before we get out of here, we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So, Albert, in your opinion, and I already know what your answer is going to be, what is the fight to watch for UFC Brasilia?
Oh, it's definitely going to be Gregor versus dude, we're gonna it's got to be Paul Fledger versus Trinaldo. That's there's no way that fight's going to suck. Fighter to watch. I'm watching Renan because I want to see him. I want to see how he does. Mike Del Torre is going to be another good one to check out, see how he reacts to Pepey coming in crazy, and definitely I want to see Stevie because I want to see how I love watching calculated fighters. So those are my 3 that I would pick. Renan would be the main one.
Absolutely, man. Obviously, your fight to watch, Felder versus Trinaldo. I can't disagree with you, man. Normally I have to disagree with my guest on this one, but I mean, that is absolutely the fight to watch. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, how that could totally be the main event, man. It's the only fight on the main card that's not, on paper, a mismatch. It's a pick'em, and I could see it actually going 5 rounds if it was the main event. Here, I could see it going 3, and if it doesn't go 3, someone's going to make a big statement, but bottom line, I see bonus money being given out in that Felder-Trinaldo fight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. There's no way it can't be, man. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and my fighter to watch, you know what? I'm going to go with Luan Chagas because, look, in his UFC debut, he took it on short notice against Serginho Moraes. He fought to a very tough draw, and, he's only 23 years old, so now on a full camp, he's got the chance to go out there against Erick Silva, who's an established fighter in the UFC. Everyone knows who Erick Silva is, and if Luan Chagas can go out there and finish him, people are going to be talking about Chagas. So, for me, he's your fighter to watch. Now, Albert, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battles. Always a pleasure, my man. Let the audience know what you got coming up next, bro. What are you thinking about doing?
I'm thinking about fighting Anthony Burchett.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, fans,
Yeah.
make sure you campaign for that. Let the UFC know you want to see Burchett versus Morales.
Definitely. No, we're ready to go. We got a little bit of a suspension, but we're gonna get cleared this weekend. This week we gotta go talk to the doctor. I think Monday, and then we'll be cleared because they just gave us a little suspension because of it looked like a deep cut on my cheek, but it really wasn't. So as soon as we get to the doctor, we're good to go, and we're back training. I'm ready to go. Nothing really happened in that fight other than a robbery. They took a piece. They took a piece of my heart. But it's all good. We're ready to go back in the cage and perform. Team Warriors ready to go. And that's it, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, dude. And we talked about that fight a little bit, but one thing I didn't ask you was, what was it like to fight in the UFC's octagon? Just to have a nice 3-round war where you got to throw everything at this guy.
It was definitely an awesome experience. I the only time I lost control was definitely in the third round. He came out. The funny thing is the game plan was we were expecting him to come out and brawl, and we were going to sit back and fire and look for that knockout right in the first. And he didn't do that all until the third round, and it pisses me off that the whole flight home I was watching the fight, and the second he came in the third round, he rushed in. I sat back, I fired. As soon as I hit him, and he started going backwards. That's when that was exactly what we wanted to do. So instead of doing the game plan, which was after that, just kind of sit back and and pick my shots because I knew I hurt him. I rushed him like an idiot, and I know one time during the fight I actually ran to him, and it just made, to me, that was, at the end of the fight, I lifted his hand up, I raised his hand. It wasn't I heard a funny interview where he said that I knew the superior fighter was. No, I was raising your hand because I'm giving you credit that you survived a 3-round fight with me. That was what I was doing. I was showing him, a little bit of respect because I was disappointed in myself that I allowed myself to get sloppy. And so it's a good thing, me and my coaches were talking about it. The 0, the draw was actually could be the best thing that could ever happen to me because I made a mistake in the ring and it didn't cost me too much. It cost me my win bonus, and I needed that. I guess I needed a reality check. So I just can't wait to get back in there. Now I'm going to be even more focused and ready to come on and destroy the bantamweight division, like I've been saying.
Oh, absolutely, man. You're learning your craft. You're figuring it out. And it's good that a wake-up call / learning lesson for you is a draw, because for other people, a wake-up call is getting knocked out in the first round. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah, definitely. That won't happen. But man, that money means everything to me, and to take that away from me and my family, that breaks my heart, and it just gives a fire under my. And it's funny, I talk about always winning and a loss. It would be bad, but it wouldn't be devastating. It wouldn't be devastating, but man, not getting that win killed me so much more than I thought it would. You don't even know. It's just driving me crazy. I just can't wait to get back in there, man.
Oh, well, you're going to get that call soon because, you're the kind of fighter that the fans like to see, someone that comes to fight, not someone like this guy, Gregor, who's just going to hump someone for 3 rounds. You're coming to fight. That's what the fans like to see. So, fans, make sure you follow Albert Morales at Warrior135 UFC on Twitter. And for everyone listening to this, thank you guys so much for checking out Half the Battle. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BestFightPicks. Go to BestFightPicks.com for the plays. And subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.
My mama was raised in the era when clean water was only served to the fairest skin. Doing clothes you would've thought I had help, but they wasn't satisfied unless I picked the cotton myself. You see it's broken, erase some nuts that don't touch anything in the stove. And it's written, erase some nuts that come in, please buy more. What you want, a Bentley, fur coat, a diamond chain? All you blacks want all the same thing. Used to only be now everybody playing, spending everything on Alexander its leaders and its followers. But I'd rather be a prick than a swallow.